Imagine spending decade after decade believing with absolute conviction that you, your colleagues, your professors, your textbooks, and your Nobel Prize-winning scientists had mapped the rhythms of the universe, believing that the great cosmic dance of matter and energy could be explained with models and graphs and neatly bound equations, that the stars were born in clouds of gas, that they burned bright for eons, and that they died in predictable explosions whose remnants we could catalogue with precision, believing that the black holes, neutron stars, and galaxies were terrifying in scale but comforting in their order, that even chaos could be graphed, simulated, and written down, until one day, without warning, all of it was ripped apart not by some futuristic alien intelligence or godlike hand, but by a silent traveler, a forgotten machine built in the 1970s, a probe smaller than a car, powered by a decaying nuclear battery, drifting alone in interstellar space billions of miles from home, a machine that had long since outlived every expectation, carrying instruments that should have died decades ago, yet still whispering across the void. Voyager 1, humanity's farthest and loneliest creation, once launched merely to photograph planets, now turned into something far stranger, something we never intended, the first human-made sentinel in the abyss. And on October 22nd, 2024, on a day that began as ordinary, on a day when Earth's eyes were turned inward to politics, markets, wars, and the trivial motions of daily life, Voyager broke the silence of the cosmos with a scream, a final cry not of mechanical failure but of warning, an influx of high-energy radiation so intense, so impossible, that it shattered every prediction, overwhelmed not only Voyager's failing sensors but also the most advanced observatories on Earth, from NASA's Swift to Fermilab's detectors, flooding them all with blinding waves of power that drowned out the heavens for a moment. And in that instant, humanity was forced to confront the possibility that we had never truly understood the stage on which we lived, that the universe was not a calm clockwork of stars and galaxies but a battlefield of violence, a place where unimaginable forces could erupt without warning and without mercy. And at first, of course, scientists refused to believe, assuming a glitch, a dying probe transmitting nonsense, corrupted data, a malfunctioning memory buffer. But as the hours passed and the signals matched across multiple instruments, a terrifying truth crystallized. Voyager 1 had been the first to feel the shockwave of something that should not exist, a gamma-ray burst later designated JUBI 22109A, the brightest, most powerful ever recorded, so intense that it surpassed every previous energy record by orders of magnitude, an event that eclipsed millions of galaxies combined. A beam of raw power focused into a jet so narrow and precise that it carried less the signature of a natural explosion and more the terrible accuracy of a weapon, a cosmic sniper shot hurled through the void at nearly the speed of light, and by impossible coincidence, or perhaps by design of the cruel mathematics that govern chaos, it struck Voyager first and then Earth, shaking our confidence in every model we had ever built. Because gamma-ray bursts were supposed to be rare, chaotic but understandable, born from collapsing stars or colliding neutron cores. But this was something else entirely. Because when scientists examined the afterglow, the radio components, the sheer unnatural concentration of its energy, nothing fit. The equations bent, the models broke, the anomalies stacked one atop the other like accusations whispered from the cosmos itself. And for months the world's greatest minds tried to explain the impossible, some saying it must be a star collapsing into a black hole, others swearing it was the collision of neutron stars. But none of it held, because the burst was too sharp, too concentrated, too weapon-like. And when the James Webb Space Telescope finally traced its source, what it uncovered was not a rare cosmic accident but something disturbingly ordinary. A supernova, a simple stellar death, a process so familiar we had written it into textbooks as if it were mundane. Yet this one had erupted under conditions so extreme that it focused its fury into a jet tighter, narrower, and deadlier than anything we had ever imagined. And suddenly the comfort was gone. Because if an ordinary supernova could, under the right circumstances, fire a cosmic rifle shot across space with energy enough to blind our instruments and nearly tear our models apart, then nothing in the universe could be trusted. Not the stars we thought we understood. Not the patterns we had catalogued for centuries, because how many other so-called ordinary events might carry within them the seeds of catastrophe beyond imagination? How many times had we misread the signs? Or worse, how many times had such bursts occurred unrecorded, passing silently in corners of the cosmos where no eyes were watching? How many bullets had been fired in the darkness without us ever knowing we had been missed? And if Voyager's battered instruments had not been there, naked beyond the heliosphere, stripped of the sun's protective bubble, exposed to the raw and brutal face of interstellar space, we might never have seen it at all, never have known it had happened, because Earth's view alone would have been distorted by the shield of solar winds, hidden behind the magnetic walls of our own star. But Voyager was there, Voyager was vulnerable, and Voyager was the first to taste the storm, delivering a signal that now may stand as humanity's greatest and final warning. And yet, even as we decode its fragments, even as we pore over its last desperate transmissions, we must face another truth just as cruel. That Voyager is dying, its instruments failing one by one, its power fading, its systems shutting down like candles snuffed in the dark. And though NASA hopes to stretch its life into the 2030s, every year brings us closer to silence, to losing our only sentinel in the abyss, our only voice beyond the sun. And when that silence comes, it will not just be the end of a probe, but the end of humanity's longest cry into the universe. And the terrifying question remains, what else will erupt out there while we are blind? What other horrors will unfold while no one is watching? Because GRB 22109A was not a random curiosity, not just another cosmic event, but a revelation, a tearing away of the veil we had wrapped around ourselves, exposing a universe far more violent, far more unpredictable, far more alive with catastrophic possibility than our arrogance had ever allowed us to believe. And Voyager's final message may have been less about science than about humility, less about data than about survival, a whisper from the abyss reminding us that we are not safe, that we are not wise, that we are not prepared, and the stars, those eternal lights we'll look up to for beauty and comfort, may not be guardians at all, but warnings, ancient fires trying to tell us in their own language that we live in a universe that does not care, a universe that laughs at our equations, a universe that will one day erase us as casually as it erases stars. And perhaps Voyager's dying voice was not just the sound of a machine fading, but the echo of the universe itself, telling us to look again, to listen closer, to accept that the story we thought we knew was only the first page of a far darker,